Hey guys, this week's podcast brought to you in part by HighSpots.com. If you need anything in the world of wrestling, DVDs, masks, t-shirts, international action figures, wrestling gear, a wrestling ring, all of the $5 wrestlings, that's all available at HighSpots.com. But for now, enjoy the show.
This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
It's Colt Cabana. All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, take a seat, sit down, put in those tweaked audio earbuds, and let's listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's also a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a world traveler. I'm a podcaster. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small businessman. But most importantly, hey, I am a professional wrestler. And I am sitting here live in the studio, apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before we go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. Yes, you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday on WeLoveColt.com and iTunes. Please subscribe on iTunes so it just comes to you automatically. You don't have to do anything. It just comes to you every single Thursday morning. Some great ways you can support. How about some positive energy? Leave a positive report on iTunes. Maybe tell a friend. But if you have a couple bucks and you want to give back monetarily and you want to keep this train running, go on over to ColtMerch.com. We've got a couple great updates on ColtMerch.com. The stick figure T-shirts designed by the great Jill Thompson, the great comic artist, drawer Jill Thompson, at the Jill Thompson on Twitter. She's so talented. She drew up this T-shirt. I gave her a design. She whipped it up, and it's going well. It's a Ringer tee, blue Ringer T-shirt. And it's got wrestling on it, and then it has all the different types of wrestlers, alligator wrestler, midget wrestler, and, of course, professional wrestler. That's me, Colt Cabana. That T-shirt's doing well. I think it's my favorite T-shirt so far of my life. So I think you should go over there and say, hey, I like the podcast. I like Joe Thompson. I'm going to get this T-shirt. Also, I've struck a little deal with MutantCactus.com. These guys have whipped up all these little buttons for me, and they're a great company out of Ohio, and I'm glad to be on board on the same team with them. So go on over to ColtMerch.com and pick yourself up some buttons. Also, there's also so much more stuff, T-shirts, DVDs, posters. You know the deal. That's all available at ColtMerch.com. The guest this week, Chris Masters, joins us, and I was in Los Angeles touring for the Wrestling Revolution Project, which shall be named differently at a different time. A little bit of dispute, spoiler, little dispute in the world of wrestling over who owns the rights to a revolution. Obviously, this project doesn't, but it was a lot of fun, and Chris was a lot of fun to meet and talk to. I had met Chris a bunch of times. I take that back, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I don't know, in the world of wrestling, the Jewish geography, the networking of it. Your friends' friends are your friends, not your enemies. And, the guys have been telling me now for years, a couple of years, how great Chris is and what a great dude he was. And I didn't remember it that way. And little by little, I get to meet him and kind of get to know the true Chris Masters. And I become a friend and a fan. And it was nice to sit down and talk to him. He was eager about doing it. He was giddy, which I always enjoy. It makes for a better conversation. So we sat down in Los Angeles, had a conversation, talked about it, recorded it, and we'll present it to you just in a little bit. But it was a fun trip. I was gone for 10 days. I did do the tapings, a lot of sitting around, a lot of waiting. I did sign a waiver. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about. But, there's some things. I know Joey Ryan, there's stuff he wants to talk about, and he was given the okay. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say what my name or character was. I'm sure if you look hard enough on the internet, it's around and it's out there. We did this one thing in the UTA, the United Talent Agency, which is one of the bigger talent agencies in Los Angeles. And, I don't know. I'm such, first of all, I'm such a moron at heart. So we go in there and these bigwigs are looking at me and they're like, who are you? And, if I was someone smart, I'd probably bust out a resume or a DVD or something or start schmoozing with them. But I told them I was an agent representing the Spice Girls. And I'm sure that got me nowhere. But we fought at the UTA conference meeting, and we're fighting around in the middle of a conference. And Jeff Katz is really excited about it, and I was excited about it. And I think what's important about this project is it's, for me, I go in there and I do the wrestling. But I was looking at the cameras. The cameras were like high-tech production. A lot of it's about production. It looked like wrestling with a movie. And I know about the process that goes into it. The Wrestling Road Diaries took for so long just to edit. So, there was one camera. There was 6 cameras. There was 70 matches in 3 days, all these skits, and you got to piece it all together. So it's not like it's going to come out tomorrow, but someone's going to have a hard job of editing and piecing this together. And best of luck for Jeff Katz. I think it's going to be fun. There's a lot of great talent out there. Dreamer and Lance Storm were helping guide the troops, I guess, and just a lot of talented guys from all over the world. Dr. Luther, met him, from 1990s Japan fame. He's a cool dude. A couple other dudes roaming around. Psycho Mike Rollins was my partner I was married to here, and it was a good experience. Also went up to California, San Francisco for the first time, thanks to Kevin Gill, big old Kevin Gill, the young senior official. He hooked it all up. We played video games for 24 hours for a little charity. Met Roland Alexander. Roland, who, I had talked to 10 years ago about doing some stuff up in APW, never came through. 10 years later, here we are having our first meeting. And it was great to finally meet the man, the myth. You guys know how crazy I am for Beyond the Mat and the stories. I wrote on the wall. I signed the wall. I signed the wall that I was reading my labels. It was it was when worlds collide, a teenage Colt Cabana watching that movie, and then there I am wrestling there. It was exciting. It was exciting for me. And I think next time I've been invited back. I won the APW Worldwide Television title. I'm going to be on their YouTube show. Next time I go back, we'll do something with Roland. We'll make a little recording. I'm positive of it. I will talk about a little bit of real life here before we go any further. I tried to get health insurance, and I'm going through it. I'm not going to name the names of the companies, but I'm going through it. I'm doing all the things. What do you do for a living? I'm a comedian. I'm an entertainer, a podcaster, and we're doing all the lines. We're going through all the business, asthma, this, that, the next thing. And he's like, all right, I'm going to put you on the line so we can finish this up. And he goes, by the way, you're the most famous person I've ever dealt with. And it was an honor. And he starts talking to me about, do you think you're going to sign with WWE? And I'm like, fuck. God damn it. And, and that's in my mind. As a wrestler, you always want to be noticed and famous, I guess, right? That's what people want. But and this is the one scenario where I'm like, God, yeah, you motherfucker, stop it. And he puts me over the line, and then all of a sudden the lady goes, so it says you're a professional wrestler. I'm like, no, I never said I was a professional wrestler. Nowhere did I say I was a professional. I don't know who's telling you this information. And I'm getting on her good. And I'm thinking, all right, maybe she's not going to put it or whatever, because I said that I didn't say it. And I got a letter yesterday. Denied health insurance because of my occupation, professional wrestler. So thank you, fan. You are not a fan. You are an asshole. And the one time I want to be recognized, why couldn't you work at Subway, buddy? Why couldn't you work at Subway? Unbelievable. Going to South America next week. I thought it was a 4-hour flight. Apparently it's a 16-hour journey. Then coming right back for one day and heading down to Mexico and Lucha Vavoom. It's going to be a wild ride, but that's the life of a wrestler. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get into it. And we're going to talk a little bit with Chris Masters about that life here in a second. But first, Song of the Week this week brought to you by IVPvideos.com. Over 5,000 titles in Japanese professional wrestling. The best place to get Japanese DVDs on the internet, including some of my stuff from Noah. They have a Facebook, IVP Videos. They have a Twitter at IVP Videos. Again, just starting at $2.99. All the Japanese DVDs you need. The song this week is Tonight by the Road Warriors. I feel there's a little hawk in that Chris Masters, and I'm sure he was a giant Road Warriors fan growing up, as we all were. Chicago, Illinois. Tonight, the Road Warriors, and then we'll be back with Chris Masters.
There's talk in the street. There's trouble coming down. And the animals are coming to town. Everybody's talking, they don't say a thing. But everybody knows what the Warriors will bring. Any of the cruisers, will be there. The blasters from Chicago, you'll see them everywhere. James Dean were alive, I know he'd be there tonight. There's gonna be a roll call tonight, 'cause we're the Warriors, that's right. Gonna be some trouble tonight, 'cause I'm Hawk, I'm the animal. That's right. The asphalt jungle's a hot place to be. Warriors are coming. Don't get caught in the streets. 1,000 eyes are watching everywhere. No one can stop us. Nobody dares. Eddie and the Cruisers, you know will be there. Blasters from Chicago, you'll see them everywhere. If James Dean were alive, I know he'd be there. Tonight, 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 there's gonna be a rumble. Tonight, 'cause we're the Warriors. That's right. There's gonna be some trouble. Tonight, 'cause I'm Hawk. I'm the animal. That's right.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, each week we bring you the Art of Wrestling podcast absolutely free of charge. We're able to do that because of our supporters and our sponsors. So if you can, go on the internet, take a second and check these guys out. OneHourTees.com, custom t-shirts made to your exact liking in an hour, a week, or whenever you need it at OneHourTees.com. SundayNightStew.com. Hollywood superstar Stu Stone is live and interactive on the internet every Sunday night. SundayNightStew.com. MutantCactus.com. Mutant Cactus wants to make the world radical by selling buttons, magnets, keychains, and more. That's at MutantCactus.com. MellowWebDesign.com, local affordable website design, MellowWebDesign.com, and TweakedAudio.com/Colt, the world's best earbuds. And only for my listeners, get over 30% off and free shipping. TweakedAudio.com/Colt. If you want to be an advertiser on the Art of Wrestling podcast, you can. Just send an email over to ColtWrestling@gmail.com. Subject, advertising. Thanks. Hey guys, how you doing? Back on the podcast here in Los Angeles with a very special guest, the Masterpiece.
Yeah, welcome to LA.
Thank you. Are you welcoming me? I've been here a million times before.
I know, but I'm born and from here, and I just want to welcome you, being a native that I am, and I'm happy to have you here. Look, we finally got to connect.
It's finally being done.
Yes.
You self-admitted podcast listener.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes. I must admit, this is an honor to me. I've listened to this show on many occasions on the road with friends of mine like Evan Bourne and Drew McIntyre, Tyler Rex, who we don't need to get into him. I'm sorry.
No.
That's a sensitive topic right now.
To me.
Yes, very sensitive to you, but we can get to that later. But, yeah, we passed a lot of hours listening to you, and I always hope for the opportunity to do this. So hopefully I can entertain some of my friends on the road now. So to all my boys out there, I'm still here. I'm still alive.
He's doing it.
Still doing it, baby.
He's doing it. We don't need the machine to still be wrestlers.
Hell
right?
no.
Is
Hell
that
no.
what it is?
I worked 2 matches in 8 hours today, and I'm exhausted. And that just shows, like, what a bunch of prima donnas. I mean, that's a good gig.
Yeah, well, like we said, like, I think Gallows said it best, is like, we were exhausted, but it was just a normal work day. And there's, well, that's because we don't have regular, like, we're all assholes with not regular jobs that it's to work fucking 8 hours is brutal for us.
Yeah, I feel like a jerk, but I think we also, being that we're like all the mentalities of guys who are workers, we need constant stimulation. So when you put us in a place for 10 hours and we're only working 15 minutes of that time, it's a recipe for disaster. Guys are getting bored. Guys are going off fulfilling their vices and whatnot.
Especially in LA, there's just
Oh yeah, we're right next to Sunset Boulevard, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're right there. I mean, this is like a good little location, good little gig here.
There's a good amount of people here. So I want to get right off the bat, Chris, and because I'll talk about this, and we'll get into some good stuff right here, right off the bat with you.
Right off the bat. Hardball.
Yeah, I talk about on here people that I've met, and the first time we met was through Daivari, and I don't know how much you remember about this, but we met through Daivari. and a great friend of mine.
Yeah,
And-
great guy.
And I'll say this,
Coco,
Chris.
yeah.
Chris, I'll say this. Right now, you are a fun-loving, happy dude. Look how happy you are. You're telling me you love listening to The Art of Wrestling. This is the first time we've ever really been together. But I'll be honest with you. First time I ever met you, you're a piece of shit.
Ooh, I love that honesty.
Yeah.
I respect
And,
that.
like,
what year was that? Tell me what year that was.
I was doing enhancement work. And
What did I do? But what did I do specifically? Because I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in 05 and 06.
It was about that time, and you were just cold.
Really?
Very cold.
I didn't embrace you?
Not at all.
Really? Did I shake your hand?
I mean, it's just like you couldn't be bothered.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You know what? I got to apologize. I think I went through a rough patch around there, and I've heard that from quite a few people, but it's actually not who I am. I think I was going through a lot of personal demons, addictions, and different insecurities that you'll go through with WWE where, I wasn't necessarily a content person with myself. But, it's funny you say that because I kind of figured for whatever reason that you didn't like me, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to salvage this. Because he seems like a good guy.
Yeah, and your friendly attitude to me,
Yeah.
like in the recent year, last year, 2 years, whatever.
Oh yeah, when I saw you at that, when you came up for that tryout, I was just like, everybody was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be there. Cabana's gonna be there Monday. I was like, I can't wait to see him. Yeah. I just wanted to embrace you. I was like, you've entertained me, and for whatever reason, if you hate me for the asshole I was before, I apologize. But I'm a reformed asshole. You know?
And I hear from my friends what a great guy you are, how amazing you are, and I just keep thinking back, like, man, he was just so cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, the word I'm getting is that you were a different person back then.
Well, I don't know what it was. I battled addiction, which is obviously like a hot topic right now, especially we just heard the Travis Tomko news today, which is really crazy. But, I just know that a lot of through that time, I don't know if it was me battling my own insecurities. I got called up to the road like at 20 years old and given that push, and it was like a very overwhelming experience. And I started making a lot of mistakes, as far as my wellness violations, and my personality changed. It did. I wasn't as happy of a person, and I'm sure I probably didn't embrace you, but it wasn't out of disrespect necessarily. I think, I was battling my own shit type of thing. But then again, it did rub a lot. Like my first couple years in the business, I did nothing but rub people the wrong way. But the true person is who I am now, and who a lot of people have come to know within the last few years. And I'd even say, being out of WWE now, most of the guys in the locker room would say, that they miss my presence at least a little bit.
Yeah,
at least
sure.
a little bit.
Of course.
That's
I've heard, and a lot of people were upset that obviously you were released. You've been doing so well as of late. Like I went and watched Punk in some shows and some house shows, and I saw you doing some stuff with Swagger.
Yeah.
And even Punk comes up to me and just would tell me like how well you were doing, and just like how much you've grown as a wrestler and as a person. So I mean, I guess I don't want to make this the release.
Well, no, but what a perfect show though, because this is the art of wrestling. You know what I came to realize over the last year. And CM Punk was one of the people, he was real supportive. I remember I worked a match with Drew McIntyre where he worked leg heat on me the whole match, and I made it such a point, man, to really emotionally invest myself in all my matches. And, it just the whole business became real different to me in the last year and a half. I started to understand it from a mental standpoint better. You know what I mean? I started to understand the art of wrestling and how that's broken up and what the components are, and the art of somebody believing in your sell. You know what I mean? Not you just selling, like your back, but you honestly conveying that to the audience and then believing it enough to want to support you in their comeback. And then, organically, and making your comeback organic and like feeling that emotion when you're coming back, like taking all that shit that you took in the heat and making it real to yourself, because everybody knows this is a work, what we do, but that's the goal. We want to take their people out of that for that moment, believe it, enjoy the show, want the baby face to come back from the ass whooping. And that's what drove me. It was just the art of the storytelling aspect.
So you obviously made a huge transition, but in order to make that transition, there was original masters. So let's get into it. You had told me today, we were talking about it, how you got in really early. And people think that you were just a body dude who probably showed up from Rick Bassman. Here's my opinion. Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Bassman sees you at a Gold's Gym, and he's doing the Mr. Burns fingers. Like he's like, oh, look at that guy. He's gonna be Vince will love this one, right? I mean, that's my impression of you. But you seeked it out at a very young age, yeah?
Okay, well, yeah, here's the whole story, and I'll try to break it down the best I can so we don't harp on it forever. But I started at 16, and it was only for the reason of I loved wrestling for my whole life as a kid, and it just came down to the point where once 16 rolled around, and it's like, they start, implanting in your head, like, what are you going to do with your life? It was like, well, what is it I love? What's my passion? And it just, everything led to pro wrestling because I was the guy in second period with the wrestling magazine and whatnot.
So you're saying at school, because I remember the what are they called? The guidance counselors are like, Colt, what do you want to do? And it's wrestling. Is that what you're saying? Is they're starting to say, hey, you got to go to college? What do you want to go to college for? Or
well, I don't even know if it was the guidance counselor because I can't remember having this conversation. I think they had given up on me because once I decided I wanted to do this, I kind of gave up on my academics. Because believe it or not, I was actually a great student. You know what I mean? When I applied myself, but then when I went on this mission where I'm like, I'm going to pro wrestle, I got a part-time job so I could go to wrestling school, and I actually started at 16 at UPW the same day as John Cena. Ironic enough.
The same day.
Same day. And,
what was the part-time job?
I was working, it was a place called Planet Smoothies it was like an independent business, and
Jamba Juice of some sort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I actually, the job evolved into me going to Jamba Juice and then becoming a shift leader at Jamba Juice, making the big bucks, baby.
Did they recruit you? Did they
Oh yeah, they recruited me. I was like a hot free agent off of that. My Planet Smoothie thing, it gave me hot street cred. So Jamba Juice wanted me, Smoothie King. I mean, everybody. I was in high demand, but Jamba Juice got me. And, I decided I started wrestling school at 16.
You, John Cena, and who? There's got to be a lame.
Well, there was like Basil. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a guy who they signed with John Cena who actually died of an overdose. Yeah, he was, he had a great look. I mean, this is one thing from what I noticed. When I got to UPW at 16, I was like a skinny kid. I wasn't ready to be there. Obviously, I was just stupid for even wanting to go down that young. But
were you the youngest one there?
Yeah.
By how far?
Well, I don't even think you're legally able to sign guys till you're, or train for professional wrestling till you're 18. A lot of people thought that was shady that he was even letting me train.
But you got that Planet Smoothie money. Bassman's ready to.
Yeah. So excuse me. So what happened was. I'm trying to think of who else was down there. Like Andrew Bernardsky was down there, who, if you don't know who he is, he was on the program. He played the guy who had the roid rage on the program, the football movie, if you've ever seen that.
Is that
he also played Leatherface on the Saw movies.
Yes. And he came to Wrestling Society X, actually.
Yes. So
he trained to wrestle.
Yes, he did. And this guy, a great guy, but the most reckless guy I've ever seen in a wrestling ring ever, and he's huge. So it was just like... that was just before I got released, reminding John Cena of a story of where Bernardsky we were doing a practice match and he came off the second rope for a leg drop on Cena and literally landed with his ass full-fledged on Cena's face, but basically almost killed the future of the business right there in that one move. It was just like gruesome to watch. But like what happened with me was actually with Andrew Bernardsky is we were just running a simple basic spot and it was like a universal spot and I tried to leapfrog him and either he didn't get down low enough or maybe I didn't get up high enough, to be quite frankly, but I ended up fracturing my ankle and I took like a couple years off and just kind of
Were you a football fan?
No, I was never really a football guy. I like basketball. I went through a baseball phase.
Because I would be like, the program was it for me. It's like,
oh, what a great movie though.
So I'm saying, like, are you sitting in training being like, holy shit, for me it was a bunch of bums in Chicago. For you, like, you got all these, a movie star, Joe Millionaire's hanging out there, right? Like,
oh my God. Yeah, we had all kinds of people popping in there. It was ridiculous. We even had Antonio Inoki come down, like one of my first practices. And I was like in a suit, he had a bunch of guys with suits in them. I was just like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was definitely, it was a crazy cast of characters, man. I mean, I don't know how many guys actually made it out of that except for myself, Cena, at that point. And I didn't even make it out at that point. Like I said, I got injured.
But you fractured your ankle.
Yes.
And so you take off a shitload of time. I mean, this is, at 16, you're like, I'm training, this is it. Planet Smoothie money, down payment, right?
Yeah, I just figured I would settle for a shift management position at Jamba Juice. I was doing so well there. Such a hot commodity on the smoothie circuit.
But, I mean, so your ankle's done with. Are you like, is that rehab? Is that,
well,
you sitting there going, I want to wrestle?
No, this is what happened. I never, ever doubted I wanted to wrestle. I just realized I was too young, and then when I got injured, I actually had to have surgery and have it scoped. So I had that done because, like, I wrestled on it for 2 months, still practicing, just thinking, oh, it's fucked up, it'll get better, just being dumb, young, dumb, and, that's how we still are anyway. We'll just fucking work through injuries. We can curse on here, right?
Fucking hell, you can
fucking shit, fuck, damn, motherfucker. Anyways, so yeah, I always had the intention to go back. It's just I think I really got a taste for what they were looking for, and from my perspective, I mean, John Cena was huge. The other guy, Basil, huge guy. So actually, after I had my surgery, I just focused on my training, and I really took up bodybuilding as a hobby to get to pro wrestling. But it kind of followed me, the stigma then, because I come back at 19 and I was in great shape. I worked my ass off and I did what I had to do to get to that point. And then,
would you say that was like 17 to 19?
Exactly, yeah. I came back at 19 and I was signed by 20. So I came back to UPW at 19 and Rick gave me a scholarship at that point. I guess he saw potential.
Right. Real athlete.
Yeah. So, or just like you were saying earlier, like he was salivating at the gym or whatever. And, so, I mean, and it all fell together at that point,
Well, let's hear you get a scholarship. I mean, do you show up, or I'm sorry, you getting signed, you're obviously you're huge now.
Yeah.
You're into it. The whole bodybuilding culture, you're getting into it, man. Fucking protein shakes up the wazoo, right?
Yeah.
Just an animal.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, does he make a call, or does Bruce Pritchard come marching down?
Well, no, they came down and looked at us, actually, I believe. And then we came down to some of the TV tapings as a group with Rick Bassman. And, it wasn't right away. I went back to UPW for about a year, but I knew, I kind of knew even going back there that, like, you're only going to learn so much at UPW. So I kind of went with a lazy mentality, like, let me learn the fundamentals and basics here. And then, hopefully, I have the potential, where they'll pick me up, and then, you go to OVW and really learn, the real craft, the real shit.
Well, who was teaching you the basics?
Well, we had Tom Howard and Mad Dog Mike Bell, rest in peace, good buddy of mine, and they were actually they were great trainers. It's not to dog them at all. It's just, it was great just to have a different variety of trainers like I did, but I still looked at UPW as a place to learn kind of how to bump and how to protect yourself, but not as much of a place for psychology and, kind of really learning the art of wrestling, if you will.
Right, but so you knew that, I mean, these were just in time. You were going, in your mind, you were going down to Louisville or Memphis or whatever it was.
I was hoping. I never knew for sure. And so when I actually got the call, I mean, I was.
So who calls you?
I think Rick had called me. Bassman had called me
You don't remember the fucking day you got signed?
Man, I have the worst memory. No, but I remember it was pretty clear through an email that was sent to me that was like asking me for specific details on specific things that you wouldn't think they would ask for. And then I do remember talking to Johnny and him.
What do you want your theme music to be? Who is that?
Oh, well,
what kind of robe would you like to wear? Are those the questions being asked?
No, that was all this. When I was in OVW, that was the stuff I pondered to myself every day. I was like, well, what's it going to be like when I get called up? Like, what's my music going to be? Because as a kid, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Again, I'm like a lifelong fan, you know what I mean? So, like, to me, it was always like, well, now for me, yeah, every little thing, like, what is it? What's my music going to be? What's this? What's that? And, it was a real exciting time that whole time. I like going through OVW. OVW was like my college. I didn't finish high school. I dropped out for the dream of pro wrestling.
You didn't finish high school.
No,
let's get into this a little bit, Chris.
Oh yeah, shame.
Wow. Do you have a GD or anything?
No, but that's something actually I think I should look into now.
So
probably.
you start training.
Yes.
And you're just like, I'm out.
Well, the thing is I started working a job. I didn't just leave school. I was working I was going to school from 8 to 3, and then I would go work from like 4 to 9 p.m. And then this was after I had already been injured and taken the break away from wrestling. But I started working out every night from 10 to 12 midnight. So it's like you can see that my days were just there was no time for anything. I had no time for homework.
Parents? Are you from
I have a mom in the picture, but I mean, she was always, I don't fault her because she was always supportive of my dream. Like, she even drove me to wrestling practice when I was 16. So she didn't condone me not going to school and doing what I did, but I mean, she was trying to break me into entertainment since I was a kid. I did acting and modeling when I was
what did you are you a child actor?
Yeah, I did a few things as a kid. Like, between the ages of 5 and like 11, I did acting and modeling.
I loved it. What are the high profile
I did some
ones?
Bugle Boy ads, some crisscross ads. I did, if you ever, not everybody remembers, but there was a show called Beauty and the Beast with Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton way back in the day that I did a couple cameos in. And like some other weird shit, like an Eliminator gun commercial with this big jacked up dude. Like, I was a little kid with this jacked guy.
You were jacked then too. Like,
no, I wasn't actually. I was like, I was looking at that
Did
guy
you
like
see
he's
that
my
guy?
future. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my future, I guess.
Yeah. Do you remember being a kid, like looking at this jacked up guy and being like, "Fuck, he's the man"?
Well, I remember just when I got, growing up on guys like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude and all these guys, that like I would sometimes like, and no, let me clarify, no homo, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying, but I would end up in class like trying to like draw these physiques of like the Ultimate Warrior and all that, just because they were so crazy looking. Like, you see this and you're like, oh my God, these guys are like comic books. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know?
And I would always draw like the extra lats, like the extra V, and then there's an extra V, and then an extra V. Of course.
Exactly, man. And then you get the traps. The traps got to be perfect. And then
God, I wonder what our teachers thought of us.
Oh, we were weird, bro. I was like, and I fell into that class, and you probably did too, where we were, pre-wrestling boom fans. Like, there was a couple years before in 2008, wrestling get popular, and everybody
98.
loves it. Or, 98. Okay, 98, wrestling is popular. But the 2 years before that, if you liked wrestling, you were a fucking nerd. You were like, Star Wars level nerd. Mm-hmm. And then I hate it because then 1998 rolls around, then everybody's on the bandwagon. Everybody loves it. Austin 316. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. I was the motherfucker nailing my friend with the backpack, throwing him into the locker last year. You know what I mean? So,
risking your nerdiness by wearing a fucking King Mabel shirt.
Oh my God! No, I think I actually wore one of the Shawn Michaels shirts where he's wearing, like his chaps and his world title belt, like after he'd won it. I think I had to wear that to shirt, and I actually did even have the zebra. I'm really letting way too much out tonight. But you know what? I loved it though, man. It's like I cherish those memories because it's like, as you know, I mean, after you enter the business, it's hard to look at it like that again. So you have to look. For me, I have to look at that sometimes to appreciate still being in it.
But even saying it now, like, it must have been crazy for you because, like, it takes a long time in wrestling to now joke about that stuff and be comfortable about it, laughing about wearing a Shawn Michaels shirt. You know what I'm saying? With those first years, you're on tippy toes. You don't want like the wrestlers to think that you're like a mark or that you did that stuff, or even you did backyard wrestling. I remember how protective I was of like anyone was like, you did backyard. Like, no. No, I'll laugh about it all the time. And so, but there's those first years of like your young years with those guys and probably those California guys and Tom Howard was like brother, right? I mean,
oh yeah. I had to, in the first initial years, you gotta hide your markness, of course. But I mean, it's just, now, I just embrace it.
Yeah,
now,
of course.
It's like,
we're comfortable and we're whatever. This is who we are.
Well, but also I think it goes back to like you're saying the bodybuilder perception too. It's like one of the biggest things I've always hated is the like, he is just the guy who came in as a bodybuilder, like just like a Luger warrior, didn't give a fuck about the business, didn't care. I always hated that was a perception that was made about me. But I can understand why. I mean, I came in with the push I did, and I was a huge guy, and I didn't have the in-ring experience nor the maturity really to handle the opportunities that they were giving to me at the time. Like, and if I wouldn't have had derailed myself personally with my own demons, I would have probably been able to rise to the challenge, I'm sure. But the fact of the matter is I wasn't ready at the time for it,
Well, who makes so you're at OVW, you're training, right? Yeah. I mean, somebody comes down and is like, or are they just fucking salivating over your body the whole fucking time?
Well, I was already had the perception of kind of like, I was starting to feel like, I was definitely a guy who was a body guy, being typecasted in that body guy role. So, I mean, like the whole process kind of, I went down there as Chris Mordetsky. I walked in one day, Tom Pritchard tells me, you're Chris Masters now. So, of course, I'm okay.
I thought Cage gave you that name.
No. This is how, you got the story mixed up. What happens is, Pritchard tells me my name has changed to Chris Masters, and then maybe a few months later I'm sitting around like with I think like Mickey James, Matt Morgan, and maybe Johnny Jeter and a few others, and I don't know what we were talking about, but Matt Morgan brings up the Masterpiece in reference to like a gimmick name for me, and it just like it clicked. It was like the Masterpiece, Chris Masters. So it's funny. I just saw Matt Morgan this past weekend, and I told him how many times I've had to tell this story, and he still thinks I never give him credit for it. But this is me going on the record saying Matt Morgan, the Blueprint, came up with the Masterpiece. So there you go, buddy. But
and who came up with Master Lock?
Well, that happened eventually after I got called up. Once I got caught up, the whole thing was built around like, okay, well, we want you to have some kind of finish that we can kind of debut you with. And, I think they went with the full Nelson because the idea at the time was to go old school a little bit because they'd pushed the bar so much. But, Master Lock came along later. I mean, what happened, though, after Matt Morgan pushed the Masterpiece thing, or he brought up the idea, light bulb went off, we brought it to Jimmy. Jimmy pushed it like crazy, and it was just like it was set then. I mean,
so Cornette was your guy?
Oh, well, Cornette, I mean, he liked it, so he just pushed it, and it just like it wasn't even a question at that point. Like WWE just went with it without even questioning it or anything, and I guess it might have actually really helped my career a lot, to be honest.
Just the name Masterpiece?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Who knows?
Well, so I'm saying, like, you come up, who's really hands-on with this big, giant push of you? Is it Vince? Does he like you? Do you sit down with Vince?
Well, yeah, I did.
Life?
I did. I sat down with Vince, and I told Vince we had a meeting, and I told him, I wasn't confident that I could just come in there and be like, this, rock or anything like that. But I told him, I'm like, with the right amount of time, I can be one of your top superstars. You know what I mean? I can be a top guy here. You know what I mean? But key point, in the right amount of time. I mean, you see a lot of criticism about the way WWE books nowadays is they book so short term, and it's not like back in the day. You don't see guys go through this progressions of their career because it just burns and fizzles and so quick. And, which leads me to within the last year where I felt like I was really kind of coming into my own as far as my work. But, Vince, I had a meeting with Vince, and then from there it just kind of like we were trying to figure out a finish. I think Arn Anderson and might have come up with the full Nelson idea because, again, they were trying to trace back from the pushy, they had pushed the envelope so far and they wanted to recondition the wrestling fans. That was the whole thing at the time when I came in. So it was like, let's go old school a little bit. And, I mean,
I loved it. I thought it was, and I thought it was done well. Yeah.
Well, to their credit, it worked too. Because I mean, even without the lack of storylines or TV time in the last years, I mean, if I even gesture for the hold, it would get a reaction. So I mean, just with that, you can tell it worked. But I mean, and Sean and Hunter even helped me out with my entrance. The original entrance with all the pyro and all the music. So those guys were real instrumental in my, especially my first year, kind of up there. So.
Right on. It wasn't. I mean, obviously, you had the violations, right? Mm-hmm. And were you fired after the violation? Is that right?
Well,
or the third one? Is that how it works?
Well, what happened was actually now this is my first release, so we're going back. Okay, I got the call on a Monday that I was suspended for 60 days. So actually, I originally wasn't fired. I had failed a wellness test, and it was actually I was actually getting my life together is the funny part. I was trying to kick my addiction to prescription pills, but in turn, through going through withdrawal, I had taken a Valium, and that really had kind of screwed me. So I didn't have a prescription for that Valium. And then Tuesday rolled around, and then Vince was put under the hot seat with Congress, I believe, or even maybe the Bob Costas interview. So Monday, remember, Monday I'm still just suspended. Johnny tells me literally, like, it's all good, chill out, come back in 60 days, just don't mess up, don't fuck up. So, Tuesday rolls around, and then Wednesday comes around, and then I get a phone call again from them, and that's the one where I get the release. So, and, just like this last release, too, it's like when I saw it, you just have this feeling. Like, you just
When you see the number on the phone? Or?
Yeah, you just know. And I think I had heard that some shit had gone down on Tuesday, and about like the interview and the Congress and all the heat he was under, and I just had a bad feeling, when I saw that call on Wednesday, much like this, this last time, not to skip, beats here, but, it's just because it came on a Friday, and, there's certain things that you can kind of piece together when you see, like, it used to be unknown that would come up on the caller ID, but now they actually like will specifically call you with their, you'll see John Laurinaitis
Firing
on there.
Center. You'll see Firing Center.
WWE Future Endeavors.
Right. But what I want to get to that with is before that, you didn't really know. I mean, I guess it's 16. Did you do in UPW shows?
Yeah, I did a couple actually. I worked actually a match with The Miz too.
Really?
The Miz and yeah.
This is before you got signed, yeah?
Yeah, this is so funny because this story just popped in my head. Yeah, we worked an 8-man tag where I actually eliminated Miz from. There was some kind of big botch in this 8-man tag. Nobody knew what we were doing. And I remember Miz called for me to choke slam him because we needed to eliminate him. So we actually had one of our first matches together.
Both of you
Probably
guys.
our first match, yeah. The Miz and myself. So we go back a little bit, and I mean, we worked a couple other shows there. I mean, the shows that Rick Bassman held at the Galaxy Theater were awesome. They were a lot of fun. There was a lot of production. There was probably a lot of overhead too, but he didn't run them often, so it wasn't like OVW where OVW when I got there we were doing shows constantly. I mean, there wasn't the budget and the production and all that.
But the point I'm getting to is that you were when you do. Yes, you're doing the shitty independent shows for OVW. I did them too, but you're getting a paycheck every week. Now all of a sudden you're an unpaychecked wrestler. Mm-hmm. So you're fired. Like, what's going through your mind right now? Like, how does it like? Do I go wrestle? Do I quit? Do I become a bodybuilder?
You're talking about it this current firing or the previous
I'm talking
firing?
about that first one because you went down, and I want to talk about the Ultimate Warrior, and you went and you did a bunch. You fucking ran the gambit. You were an independent superstar. Man.
I had so much fun actually in that year and a half. I mean, but eventually, I mean, it just came back to like if you want to be in this business, the ultimate goal is WWE. So, but I think when I first got released, I just kind of knew that I got injured on top of it. It was like a real messed up scenario. Like a lot of people thought the rumor was Undertaker intentionally injured me because I was botching spots. But no, I was doing great. I was in Europe working with Rey Mysterio on one night, and then the next night I would team with Fit against Taker and Kane, and we were having good matches. Like I was starting to get myself back together because, I was trying to get over the addiction and get myself back straight and get everything good. And basically, I got injured, and with 2 days left in the tour, I went over the top rope. I was doing the Bret Hart squash on the bottom rope to Glenn Kane's leg, and on the third one, he booted me in the ass. But our timing was slightly off. I'd done it a couple nights prior with Taker, worked fine, but this particular night, for whatever reason, the timing was off. I went to post on the apron, and my elbow just completely popped out into my tricep.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. It was the most brutal injury I've ever felt because it was like all the muscles in my arms were tweaking out. Like I couldn't strain it.
Those are a lot of muscles, too.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Don't build my ego anymore, please. But, so it was kind of sad, though, too, because then – just making sure this volume's off. Because then, I got sent home, with 2 days left in the tour, which is already sad enough because you're like, it's like exciting to finish a tour. Everybody gets happy at the end of a 2-week tour, especially if nobody's hurt and it's gone well. We have our shot. We're like, we did it. It's all good. So kind of sucked to leave there injured. And then I had no idea on top of it that I'd be getting fired a week later. So, I had to even sit out for 3 months and do nothing and just sit about my firing because I was injured. So It was like doubly miserable. And, I kind of fell into...
But did you fall into kind of another shitty patch in your life?
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, I definitely didn't get my life back in straight at that point. I mean, but I did work like crazy. I started going to Europe a lot. I did, like you were saying, the NWE American Rampage. I really experienced the indie wrestling world, which I had never gotten to do. And I mean, I didn't get to.
You met the guys like us, the fucking the Genericos, the Pox, the strugglers out, the M Dogs.
You know what, man? But it's been some of the coolest, most genuine people because these are the people you sit around with and I'd be bullshitting with in the most random places in the world, whether it was Barcelona, Spain, or Australia, and they were just then they would always put things into perspective for me because they would always ask me about WWE, and I would just see what mutual dream this is amongst anybody who wants to get into it. And I think that eventually put it into perspective for me because I always knew that I took accountability for the fact that I had gotten released the first time. I had messed up, and I kind of felt once the time's right, hopefully I'll get my life right, and then that'll be an option again. And as the more time went on and I spent time around these people and I did the indies, I mean, I had the most fun of my life, you know, especially going to Europe. I mean, because it's wrestling without the stress, without the politics, without the bullshit. It's just going there, working, good accommodations. And
showing up in a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Man. No tie.
And you know what? I met some of the greatest characters ever from my childhood throughout all that time, because you don't see these guys, you know, around the WWE circuit, you know, so I got to meet my Honky Tonk Mans,
Right.
my Ultimate Warriors, like you were saying. And
So was the Warrior cool? What's
the Warrior, you know, the Warrior, if you are a Warrior fan, like around my genre as a kid, I mean, he let you down quite a few times, you know what I mean? Because he'd come and go.
Right.
He came and left. And, you know, he kind of let me down in my adult life too, but, you know, I hate to be so hard on him because I know everybody just kind of dogs the Warrior now, but, you know, he was awesome as a kid. Fucking awesome, man. The face paint, the character, you know, I don't care if his work was the shits. The Ultimate Warrior was cool. But he was exactly what everybody kind of explained that he was in the business. Like, he was the personification of that. He came down in April when we were doing a couple shows in Spain. He gave this speech about how he wanted to help out the young talent. And
in the locker room?
Yeah. He gave this big speech about how he wanted to help out everybody. He was here for them, and all the young kids and stuff. There were a lot of, you know what I mean? You can imagine how there was a lot of young guys who hadn't been to WWE or anything in this locker room, like looking at the Warrior like, whoa. And you could tell that he really wanted to change the perception, because I think he's aware, he's aware of how people feel about him. So, you know, he gives us all that, and it kind of works us, man. We're kind of like, all right, well, you know, maybe he's had a
This
change.
Warrior ain't half bad.
Yeah.
I might join his One Warrior Nation.
Yeah, maybe I can jump back on board one more time. You know, this is the third time, but, you know, this is it after this if he fucks up again. But, you know, so, I mean, what happened, I don't have anything personally that he did to me, but it was really just kind of a letdown, because we went to Spain. We're working a 2-week tour, all of us except for him. He's in a mansion. All he has to do is work out, bodybuild for his wrestling match. And, you know, all I'm hearing from the promoters while we're busting around all over fucking Europe and busting our asses about how he's complaining about this, how he can't get into the mailbox to get his shit. So then he breaks down the mailbox, and then, you know, it comes down to and then he doesn't train.
Do you picture him like shaking the mailbox?
Oh,
like that?
You know what? He is like, he's crazy. I mean, he really is. I mean, there's a
grabbing that top rope. AKA
he broke
mailbox.
the mailbox. I mean, what do you expect? It had to look Warrior-esque in some form. I mean, it couldn't have looked like a gentle break by any means. I mean, who knows? Maybe he ran back and forth and shoulder tackled the bitch. But so then, you know, kind of just what happens, you know, so we already kind of have a sour taste in our mouth, because from our perspective, we're working our asses off, man. We're working like tours. We're doing shows every day, and we're really wanting to make this NWE thing work. We're looking at it like, man, maybe we can make something. These houses are huge. We're having so much fun. And he's our big payoff match. And, you know, the thing I think it is I think he didn't train for it like it was a wrestling match. He'd been out of the ring for 10 years, and all he focused on was the bodybuilding, like it was a bodybuilding show. So
says Chris Masters. This is hilarious, by the way.
It's coming from me. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and that's why I'm on the show, so people understand who the real me is. You know what I mean? I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I love the gym and all, but you know, I'm all about this business. Is what, you know, where all that originated. But yeah, so he didn't spend any time in the ring. I mean, he even came down here to California to do some training with RVD, and RVD said they maybe did locked up a couple times, and that was it. So
he's like just out of the corner of his eye, he keeps on seeing that bench press in the corner. Like,
yeah, he's just so tempted by the damn bench press. He's just like, screw this.
Rob, look at those declines over there. Oh,
so okay. So then what happens is basically we get to so we're doing this 2-week tour, but our big payoff is Barcelona. It's our big show, 17,000 people. Orlando Jordan is slated to work the Ultimate Warrior. And basically, man, what happens is, I mean, he shows up to the building. He has his own locker room, which for me was still, I'd heard that it happened, you know, from back in the days with Hogan and all that, but I'd still never seen it in my experience in the business. Even in WWE, Hunter didn't have his own locker room. Shawn didn't have their own locker room. Everybody changed, you know, in mutual rooms. So it was weird to see that. But, you know, whatever, that's what he's used to. But, I mean, he didn't say hi to anybody. And then, you know, he went out there, and him and Orlando Jordan worked this 22-minute match that was literally 18 minutes too long. And it was just it was unbelievable because we were sitting around, we were crowded around this monitor backstage with Rikishi.
Complete sellout, I'm sure.
Oh God!
At the monitor,
who the Juice was there, Rikishi, Gangrel, maybe myself, and we're trying to figure out what they're saying because they're chanting in Spanish. So we're all looking at Hoovy. And Hoovy don't want to say shit, you know. Hoovy is just like,
something you don't know?
Oh, yeah, you know how they are. They don't want to be the bearer of bad news.
Right.
But, you know, finally we get it out of them, and they're chanting circus. This is bullshit. Because basically from what Orlando had told us, within a minute and a half, the Warrior had told him he was blown and done. Fuck. Literally those words. So, I give Orlando a lot of credit for having to try to carry that match. And, looking back, I mean, fuck, it doesn't take a genius to think that, hey, maybe this guy hasn't been in the ring in 10 years. Maybe we should take it straight to heat and then go right to the comeback.
Well, listen, shake some ropes, maybe a little dive, a couple high fives, call it a day.
This was the huge thing for me. First of all, just see, like, when I first saw the Warrior 2, I mean, he looked physically huge and everything. I was like, wow, the guy looks big. He looks, he looks like a bodybuilder. But, I could just tell by his walk that age had gotten to him a little bit. And then, so for me, the big thing was, all I wanted to see was the run. I was like, if he can make it through the run and somewhat still not hobble out there and look like the Warrior, then there's a chance for this. But I tell you, man, as soon as I saw him run out, I was like, this is not going to be good. It was not the same, man. I mean, he had the short hair too, granted, and all that. But I mean, he kind of hobbled out there, and it's just it's not the same, man. You got to see your Warrior fucking running out there crazy, full speed. I mean, he's got to blow himself up on the entrance, and then it's okay for his lack of actual work ethic in the ring, as long as he blows it up. I always laugh when I watch that Rick Rude match, that cage match where he runs around the cage 4 times and then runs up, jumps on and shakes it. I mean, beautiful shit, but yeah, and so basically they stunk up the joint, and then Warrior didn't say bye to anybody. He left, and for me, that was probably the fine. And I was like, to me, personally, I'm like, this guy has now let me down twice in my child life, and now this is going to be the final time in my adult life. I'm
Mr.
done with
Warrior.
it. Yeah, it was
Goodbye forever.
It was literally like that. It was like there was this little music video playing because I saw him leaving the building with his luggage bag and his wife and his kid, and it was like literally watching him walk away in slow mo, and it's saying the end. And I was like, because I also knew after watching the match, I'm like, this guy's career, I know he still wants to get this one match payoff. He still is doing the stuff with Hogan, but it's over. It's over. If you would have seen that match, you would have known this is the end for the Warrior. And we'll all still have our love for the Warrior as he was in the 80s and 90s, but for him to try to do any shit nowadays is an insult to all of us.
Fair enough. Yes. I mean, so you do your tours, you go around NWE, the other stuff. You get back. I do want to jump into a little birdie told me a story about when you quit a match in the middle of a match.
What? No way. What is this?
With Gallows?
What? What are you talking about?
Something about your balls were showing or something?
No. That wasn't me. That was Rene Dupree. Oh, thank God.
No?
It wasn't my balls showing. Was this at OVW?
I know. I think this was you and Gallows, and this was
okay.
a Kurt Hawkins.
Okay.
Something you said, I got to go. My balls are showing or something in the middle of a suplex or something.
No. Oh, wait a minute.
Does this ring a bell?
Could that have been me? Well, I mean, I can think of maybe a couple instances where I've been picked up in a suplex and there might have been some sackage. But I don't think if there was any particular reason. No, I know I've never quit a match over sackage.
Right,
I mean, it's going to take a lot more than an exposed sack
we'll
for me to quit.
We'll get a tweet from Hawkins on this one.
We're definitely going to have.
Maybe I read the text.
That son of a bitch spreading rumors.
Not spreading, bringing up topics. Yeah,
we'll get to the bottom of that.
But the last.
But there is. You remind me of a Rene Dupree story where I heard that his sack.
That's why he got fired, right?
Yeah, he was in OVW and his sack was hanging out for a whole match or something.
Yeah.
So that's immediately what popped in my head. I think I know if my sack was hanging out.
I think that was the last straw for him. They were just like, all right.
Yeah, this guy's a mess.
A mess.
Yeah, Rene Dupree, a guy I tried to love so many times. He's my age.
He was another one, by the way.
Yeah.
But you've redeemed you totally redeemed yourself. Rene Dupree, not so much.
No, Rene Dupree is a genuine asshole, though. That's
okay.
Why. It's it's with some guys, you can try to like them once, and then it might not work, and then you can try again, and then, it might not work, and then it's up to you whether you're going to give him another shot or not. Well, Rene, I've given that motherfucker too many chances. You know what I mean? He's just he's always doing something to fuck it up. It's like I want to bond with him. I'm like, we're the same age. You know, I know you like bodybuilding and you love wrestling and all this shit too, but you know, he's just kind of a slimy, dude.
I know. And was DeVar? No, Paul London was the one who introduced us. Yeah. But the last year, I mean, so you clean up and you go back and you get signed. Obviously, with a wellness policy, you have to stay clean.
Yeah.
Was this an enjoyable run for you?
Why? Because I couldn't get fucked up?
No, I mean, because you seem happy now. That wasn't a dig at all. I mean, obviously, because I would think you're not fucked up. Like, life's good, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm in a different place. Definitely very much this time around. Like, I felt, it's weird, man, because I came back to WWE and I was so happy to be back because I was like, you know, I went through the indies and then I realized like, hey, I really derailed myself and, you know, and messed up. Let me go make things right. And, you know, for most of 2009 even, I was just happy to be back. But then, like, when 2010 rolled around, there was a fire really lit under my ass. And I was like, you know what? There's no reason for me to, you know, I wanted to reach for the brass ring. I felt like I had all the
being
tools.
Being happy is enough. Now it's time to
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and I wanted to do anything I possibly could. And I realized I didn't have the company's endorsement or, you know, they had no incentive to do anything for me. So, I mean, I just did I took whatever they gave me. And, you know, a lot of times it was one seg, 10 minutes on Superstars, two segs, 15 minutes on Superstars, and they gave me the ring time.
Silent Library, you did that.
Silent Library, Big Time Rush, you know. I'm making my presence felt wherever I can, you know. I'm on the street corners, too. No, I'm just kidding.
What was the weirdest thing you did promotional-wise?
As far as
Silent Library, the weirdest thing?
Yeah, it was, man. I still don't know if that was a good idea for my career. I feel like I'm still having to rebuild my image from that whole thing. Yeah, it was kind of, and I know you're saying that you probably specifically watched that because Kurt Hawkins was on there
of course.
too. And,
I would never watch that show besides that.
I would never watch it either, too. I was like, there's no way I'd watch this. And you know what? To be honest, I have never watched the full episode we did just because I'm so kind of like, I think I'm still kind of embarrassed by it. Although I don't take myself too seriously, but I just kind of don't want to watch it.
Sure, I understand. Well, I mean, here you are, I guess, on another, you know, riding the indies, rocking and rolling, living here in Los Angeles. What's the word with you, man? What you doing stuff outside of wrestling? You enjoying life? You let me borrow Kangol hats? That's nice.
Oh, yeah, let's not get into that hat thing again.
Sorry.
Yeah, he had to borrow my hat all day for our Wrestling Revolution project shoot. Yeah. For whatever reason, you had to have my hat, but it is a good hat.
It's a great hat.
Yeah, and it fit good on your head, too, so I don't mind it, you know.
But outside wrestling, anything fun with you?
You know what? Okay, so the difference here this time, you know, the two releases were very different, man. The first release, I messed up. I understood that and I accepted it. You know, this time, obviously, I'm a little more upset this time just because I felt like I really did, like your friend CM Punk said, and my friend, he's a good dude. You know, I worked my ass off over the last year, and I really devoted myself 100% to the business. I didn't have a girlfriend, not a wife, nothing to distract me, and I felt like I was making great progress every week. So it is a heartbreak to go from, you know, knowing that you've worked that hard and then having, like, you know, conversations where Vince and Hunter have been in your ass telling you, hey, you've gone really good, we want to push you, yada yada yada, to being released. So, you know, it came as a surprise, but I mean, you know, for me, I'm also, if they weren't going to use me or they didn't, you know what I mean, if they didn't know what to do with me, it might be the best for all parties involved right now, you know what I mean, because I'm 28 years old, it still gives me a chance to, I still want to do this, but you know, this is, I have more passion for sports, entertainment, and pro wrestling than anything. I mean, it's what I base my whole life around. So, I mean, you know, that's kind of the dilemma I'm in. It's like, you look at it, like a guy who breaks into wrestling at 19 is now on the unemployment line with, 11% of the population out here in the country. Now I joined that few. And my only qualifications are a Samoan drop, a vertical suplex, and a full Nelson that's been known to be unbreakable.
A hell of a fucking preacher curl, too.
A hell of a preacher curl. So, I mean, I got a few things going for me. But it's like, I live in L.A., so I'm not leaving the acting thing out of, you know what I mean? I think there's specific roles. You know, I'm not looking to be necessarily a lead man.
I'm just saying shit
in a
you like to
movie.
do in life, man. I'm not saying this like you riding your bike around, you fucking going grocery shopping.
Oh yeah, I love to ride my tricycle.
Yeah,
you know, I love to. Yeah, you know, I've been actually, well, obviously I've been working out. I'm maintaining, I'm getting my GTL in, you know. I
can't believe you just said that.
I know.
We might have to.
People hate me, but, you know, I never watched Jersey Shore till like 2 weeks ago, but, you know,
You're just starting.
I never watched an episode. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and, like, I totally got the guys. I was like, I get it. GTL, T-shirt time, these guys make sense to me. It's entertaining. I'm sorry, man.
The fact that you're so late on this is.
Oh, I know. I'm totally late.
And
totally late on this. Totally late. But I love the guys. They're freaking. Yeah, I could hang out with those guys probably. But yeah, you know what? I've been just enjoying life. I mean, I went to Portugal. That was the first booking I did that I labeled the first of my anti-E / get the E out tour. You know,
Get the E out.
Yeah, you know, my whole.
Is that ecstasy?
That's what it sounds like, right? That's what it sounds like. But, you know, I just because, and then, you know, I did the SummerSlam Access thing. I invaded that as part of Masterpiece Theater. So, you know, I definitely don't plan to fade out by any means. I'm just trying to figure out kind of the next couple of years. But on a daily basis, man, I live in LA, man. I'm going to the beach. I'm meeting women. I'm enjoying life. I'm having fun. I'm in a positive mindset. So, all is well in terms of that. Like, I'm coping with the release probably the best you possibly could, just because I feel vindicated in my hard work. I still feel shocked in the fact of the decision, but you know what? If it's meant to be, you know, maybe I'll be back there. You never know.
But in the meantime, if promoters want to book you and stuff, or do you reach out to fans? Do you on any of these things? Facebook, Twitter, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. WWE Master P. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter right there. I know I need to change that name, huh?
Yeah.
But
I like Master P.
I know
you're a no-limit soldier.
Oh, hell yeah,
really
man.
are.
I keep it real, you know. I'm down.
Fuck swole, bro. Look at these fucking arms you got. Jesus
You know what I'm
Christ.
saying? I do the best I can.
I'll be Chase Tatum. I'll be in your fucking limit soldiers.
All right, so and then yeah, for bookings, and I just opened I have a new website now. It's themasterlock.com, which is going to be feeding many different videos, Masterpiece Theater, what we're filming actually right here for The Art of Wrestling. And yeah, so you can go to themasterlock.com, and then also for bookings, you can reach me at masterpiece83@gmail.com. Official.
All right,
or
man.
you can reach me at themasterlock.com. Whatever you prefer. There's various places to reach
Just
me.
reach out, say hello.
Yeah, don't poke me on Facebook. It's gay.
Yeah. You were so. You said not no homo or anything, but that, and then you just threw that out. You tried to save it on the no homo, but then you just.
Did I just ruin it?
No, you were great.
Oh, thanks, man.
Chris, I appreciate you being on, bud. All right, there he is. Basically a new friend, I would say. The fun-loving, who would have thought, right? The fun-loving giant human being of a man, Chris Masters, is out in Los Angeles, living up life, having a great time. No longer with the WWE, but he's out and he's doing his thing. So hopefully we see him on a giant stage again. We definitely saw him on a giant stage at the Wrestling Revolution Project. TM, trademark, copyright to be named differently later. But great to have Chris on. Great to talk to him, sit down with him, have a real conversation, and see what he's all about. He's all right in my book, for sure. All right, Chris, that's the episode for this week. But before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and upcoming events. All right, the best way you guys can support ColtMerch.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, and more. My Twitter, @ColtCabana. Follow me. See who the next guest on The Art of Wrestling is going to be. See what I have to say about the world of wrestling, or just what I have to say in general, @ColtCabana. My email, ColtWrestling@gmail.com. If you got something to say to me, if you're a promoter, you want to put me on your upcoming show, your convention, your movie, you want me to guest host Saturday Night Live, I'll do it, Lauren. I know you're listening. I got a snail mail, got a P.O. box. Send me something fun. That's over at WeLoveColt.com. CreativeHasNothingForYou.com is my web series. Every single Monday night, myself and Marty DeRosa make fun of wrestling a little bit. And the Facebook.com/AOW podcast. You should like it. We should talk about each episode. Some upcoming events this Sunday. I am flying all the way south of the equator Sunday, October 23rd, Santiago, Chile, Fuera de Titanes.cl. Wednesday and Thursday, October 26th and 27th, Hollywood, California, luchavavoom.com. October 30th through November 2nd, I'm going to be touring Mexico, including Monterrey and Matamoros. I don't know if I'll have more information. Just read the Mexican paper and see if I'm coming to your town. Friday, November 4th, Chicago, Illinois, Mark Bazer's interview show. HideoutChicago.com for more information. Saturday, November 5th, LaSalle, Illinois, DreamWaveWrestling.com. Saturday, November 12th, Austin, Texas, AnarchyChampionshipWrestling.com. Heading back to Austin. Then Sunday, November 13th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, iPay-per-view. Chikara Pro has their first iPay-per-view. Friday, November 18th, Chicago, Illinois, ChicagoStyleWrestling.com. And then Friday, November 25th, the day after Thanksgiving, downtown Chicago, Illinois, Billy Corrigan's ResistancePro.com. That's it, guys. That's your show for this week. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Till next week, this is The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.
Hi, this is Barry Manilow, and you're tuned into the Art of Wrestling podcast.
This week's production was brought to you in part by David Toms and Mike Peace, who are huge wrestling and podcast fans. Their production company, Random Download Productions, are trying to raise money for their student film, Bike, which is based off the Stephen King's Stationary Bike. To help out, please check out